Republican presidential hopefuls are flocking to Iowa this weekend, courting voters at the Iowa State Fair. It's a chance for the candidates to make their case.
It is, and we talk with some voters who say their minds are already made up, and others say they are concerned about the latest indictments of Donald Trump. CNN senior national correspondent Kyung La joining us now from Des Moines. Hi, Kyung. Good morning. What more are you hearing from voters there?
Good morning, Amara and Rahel. The State Fair here is just starting to open up and people are just starting to come in. And this is really sort of the main event day, at least politically. That's where we're going to see the arrival of Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis almost at about the exact time, although we don't anticipate that they're actually going to see each other face to face. And you know, never one to follow tradition. Donald Trump is not going to do the traditional Iowa State Fair visits that involve a soapbox or some of the retail politics that Iowans are used to here at the State Fair. I want to show you who he is bringing. This, you might think of it as more trolling to get inside DeSantis's head. He's bringing a number of U.S. representatives from the state of Florida, 9 of them, in fact, to walk with him to make the point that the governor of Florida can't draw support even from people in his own state. So this type of trolling, does it work with Iowans? Iowa Republicans who we spoke to appear a bit mixed. Some who say they don't believe the DOJ has any legitimacy in this case involving Donald Trump. But I want you to take a listen because it's not exactly uniform.
Like I say, I know in my area, it's Trump country.
Are the indictments changing how you feel?
No, because I do think a lot of that is for effect.
A lot of those are trumped up. I don't find the charges against him being trumped up at all. That's my opinion.
So Rahel and Amara, uniformly, yes, polls are showing that Donald Trump is the pace setter in this primary. He is ahead of everybody. But here in Iowa, because of that little dissent you hear, they do wonder if that is going to hold all the way until January. And we'll see some of that play out today.
And it'll be really interesting, Kyung, to see the crowds. I mean, if today is sort of the main event, we've already seen pretty big crowds there at the Iowa State Fair. So a lot to watch. Kyung La, great to see you. Thank you.
I saw Kyung eating some food on the air the other day. I want to know about some of the good fried foods you've tried, Kyung. Anything in particular?
Oh my God, the deep fried strawberry shortcake.
Oh, wow.
Anything deep fried, to be honest.
That sounds amazing. All right, Kyung La, thank you. All right, for more now on the Iowa State Fair and its significance in the presidential race, let's bring in Brianne Pfannenstiel. She is a chief politics reporter for the Des Moines Register. Hi there, Brianne. So first off, talk to us more about, why this state fair is such an important stop for all the presidential candidates.
So the Iowa State Fair brings in people from every corner of the state. They're coming into Des Moines, they're staying for a day, they're staying for multiple days. And so it's really a chance to meet people from all across the state, all in one swing. And it's really just a fun event, right? People are here with their families, they're having a good time. It's a chance for these candidates to really show that they can connect with Iowans one-on-one, meet them face-to-face, have a conversation, and just show that they're a real person, right? But it's also just, all about the optics. There are so many reporters there these days, that there are so many TV cameras. It's a chance for these lesser-known candidates to really have a moment to try and break out of the pack. They're also around trying to sign up donors, those folks who are still trying to get on the debate stage next month. And then for these bigger candidates like Donald Trump, like Ron DeSantis, who we're going to see today, it's a moment to try and one-up each other and have a little bit of gamesmanship as we're seeing.
All right, so speaking of one-upping each other and optics, what about the optics of Donald Trump showing up to the fair with this entourage of 9 Florida Republicans who have endorsed him? Obviously, that is an aim, a swipe at Ron DeSantis. I guess, what's the strategy? Will it work? Do Iowans care?
Well, it is a big swipe at Ron DeSantis, right? He's trying to show that even people in Florida, his home state, prefer Donald Trump over Ron DeSantis. But Ron DeSantis, of course, punched back. He's announced that he's bringing about a dozen Iowa endorsers with him to the Iowa State Fair today. And that message is very much that it doesn't matter at this point what Floridians think. This is about the Iowa caucuses that are happening in January. It matters how Iowans feel about these candidates. And he's saying, look, I've got more endorsements here in this state than you do, and I'm going to bring them with me to the Iowa State Fair. So we're seeing some of that back and forth. And I think it is true that Iowans care more about who people that they know and respect in the state are endorsing. They're looking for guidance from, some of their elected officials who really do have a lot of access to these candidates for what they think. So at the end of the day, we'll see how meaningful endorsements really are. But we're seeing kind of that back and forth today. And as you heard, both of these candidates will be at the State Fair at about the same time today. And so Donald Trump is certainly known for spectacle. In 2015, when he was campaigning, he came to the Iowa State Fair in a helicopter. He was giving out free helicopter rides to kids. So we'll see if he tries to, one-up himself and create a bigger show today.
What about the influence of the Iowa governor, a Republican, Kim Reynolds? We know that she's very popular in the state. She's a rising star in the Republican Party. She is not endorsing anyone, at least not just yet. She's getting attacks from Trump, as you heard from Kyung Lah's reporting, because of her neutrality. Will you expect candidates to take advantage of that? Is it going to backfire, the fact that Trump is not participating in this fair side chat with the governor and instead attacking this popular Republican in the state?
Well, I think when Donald Trump made those comments about Kim Reynolds, it raised a lot of eyebrows here in Iowa. There was even a state senator who said he switched his endorsement from Donald Trump to Ron DeSantis because of those comments. The governor here is really beloved among Iowa Republicans. And so it's an interesting choice to skip her Fairside Chat series that she's doing, a series of Q&As with these candidates. But I think Donald Trump has shown throughout this campaign that he thinks he's bigger than that. He can draw these big crowds. He can create events for himself, and he's not necessarily willing to lend his star power, as it were, to some of these other events. And so I don't know that that's necessarily a dig at the governor. He travels with a lot of security that can make some of these smaller events more difficult. He hasn't outlined exactly what he plans to do at the State Fair today, but I expect that if he tries to move through the crowd at all, it's going to draw a pretty sizable group of people. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to go for him. So it's an interesting choice. Governor Kim Reynolds certainly has a lot of influence, and she's decided that she's not going to endorse this cycle. She thinks it's more important for Iowans to make that choice and for her not to tip the scales maybe in favor of one candidate or the other. Iowa Republicans and Iowa Democrats agree. I think that this is a state where people should be able to come without a huge war chest. They should be able to have an even playing field and move the needle by shaking hands and doing the kinds of things that we're going to see today at the fair.
Brianne Pfannenstiel, thank you very much.